Welcome to the Positive Sports Podcast. I will be your host this evening, Ed Montana. Alongside me today, my co-host and our special guest. That's right, there's a special guest here today. You can't see him. I hope you can't hear him, but you might. He's attached to my co-host, my brother Alex. Alex, how you doing today?
Feeling a little hungry.
I heard.
Yeah. Just, my plan was to actually eat on this episode. So knowing that I was going to come here after work, I took a lunch, ate lunch. I had a PB&J ready to go. I thought about eating it on the way here, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to eat it on the show. Well, I forgot it at work. So I'm a little hungry now.
Speaking of hungry, I talked about this a couple of weeks ago, and I wasn't going to talk about this today, but we'll talk about it now because that's what we do. We just talk about random shit. So for Lent, I decided to fast.
Okay.
Right, that was going to be part of Lent.
For 40 days?
But I was going to do intermittent fasting.
Okay.
Right?
I thought you weren't going to eat for like 40 days.
So the way it works, or the way I made it work, was no breakfast. I was going to eat and I was going to restrict myself to eating 8 hours a day, only during an 8-hour window. So I would eat at noon and I would stop eating at 8 o'clock. And generally I have dinner around 7. Now, sometimes when I got stuff going on at night, I don't end up eating until like 9 o'clock or 9:30. So those days I wouldn't have lunch until like 1 or 2 in the afternoon.
Okay.
And I actually started a week before Lent just because I wanted to see if I could. Because here's the thing. I think that in general, as a society, we let food dictate our lives. I don't know about you, but I wake up in the morning and it's, what am I going to eat for breakfast? As soon as I'm done with breakfast, what are we going to do for lunch? If I'm at home, like at work it's a little bit different, but at home, it's like all day it revolves around the next meal. What are we going to eat? Oh wait, so we're not going to eat lunch until 3, because if we're not going to eat until 3, I need to get a snack in now. But if we're going to go at like 2 o'clock, then I'll go ahead and wait. It's just ridiculous, right? So I wanted to be, part of the reason why I did it, aside from the Lent thing, was I want to be in control of this whole eating thing. Right? So that's what I decided to do. Now, Lent is about 6 weeks, plus the 1 week of extra that I did. I fasted for 7 weeks. Here's what I found. It does get easier.
Does it?
It definitely gets easier. At the first week, I had a hard time making it to 10 o'clock. By the end, I could make it to 4 o'clock. Like, on a You're not going to make it.
I think we need to put that microphone a little closer to me.
I don't think you're going to make it. You're either going to pass out or your stomach is going to eat us.
I may just start eating whatever I can find here.
Yeah, just a paper, phone, or something. Anyway, so by the end, like if I was going out to watch the UFC and I knew I would want to eat until midnight,
right,
I could go till 4 o'clock. Or if I was at my son's baseball tournament, I could go till 4 o'clock. So I think it is a very good exercise for people who are consumed, pardon the pun, about eating.
Yeah.
Always worried about eating. And quite frankly, for those people that are looking to manage their weight, I think this is a good way to manage their weight. One other thing I didn't mention on this fasting thing. During those 8 hours that I could eat, I didn't go crazy, right? So when I finally had lunch at 2 o'clock, it's not like I went to Popeyes and got a 20-piece bucket, right? I could eat a 20-piece bucket, especially from Popeyes, who's not a sponsor of the show, but I wouldn't. So I thought it was really good. It was really good from a mental perspective to be able to control yourself, to show that, not even to show anyone, but just to create the discipline within yourself to not let food rule your life.
Now, I was like that when I was little. I used to always ask Mom the night before, right after dinner, what are we eating tomorrow? But now that I'm an adult, I don't find myself doing that much.
You want to... This is, for me, I've been this way since I was a little kid. And I don't know if you remember this. Mom, back in the day, we used to go to the store once a week, right?
Yeah.
And so we bought meat. Every Friday. We bought meat for the week. Then my mom would put it in packages for individual dinners that she would then cook during the week when she got home from work.
Which she still does, by the way.
Right. Well, she would take the meat and put it in the freezer, and then in the morning, she would take out whatever she was going to make. Right. Well, all those packages of aluminum foil, they all look the same. So what she would do is she would write on a little piece of paper and stick the little piece of paper just inside the aluminum foil. You know what I used to do as a kid in the morning? Part of my ritual of getting breakfast, I used to go into the refrigerator, open the little package a little bit so I could see the little piece of paper to figure out what we were having for dinner.
So you cheated.
Yeah, so I've been this way. So
is that how you got by in school?
So this has been my problem. This food thing has been my problem all my life. I've always said that if I didn't run, I'd be probably anywhere from 600 to 700 pounds. I might stop at 7 bills. Actually, now that there's a TV show, My 600 Pound Life, I'd probably stop at 6. But there's a good chance I'd go to 699, right? So yeah, I mean, I've always been terrible about food. Like, and I've always said this. I have a bad relationship with food because if I'm happy, I want to celebrate by eating something good. If I'm sad, I want to make myself feel better by eating something good. And when I say something good, I don't mean healthy and nutritious.
Right, something.
I mean, like a gallon of ice cream,
greasy, or sugar.
50 wings, 20 chicken McNuggets.
Yeah, no, me and food have a great relationship. We get along great. I love it. They love me.
Yeah.
And I actually need some right now.
So, I think the intermittent fasting thing is very good. I did lose weight over the course of Lent. I dropped a couple pounds every week, and I didn't change anything as far as training or whatever. There are times when it's harder than others. Like, at a certain point on a run, it's too much, right? Like, I ran, so I did a bunch of crazy stuff during this time just for various reasons. I ran 10 miles at 1 a.m. one night, right?
Why?
It's another story. I'll explain it to you afterwards. I ran 10 miles at 1 a.m. So from 1 to like 2:30, 2:45, I was running. Mm-hmm. I ran 10 miles. I got up the next day. My son had a tournament, and I went, and I didn't eat until 2 o'clock, and I was fine. Another day.
That was probably like already, you were a little deep into this fasting, though. That wasn't at the beginning, right?
No. That was towards the end of March. Oh, okay. So yeah, it was about halfway.
Okay.
Halfway.
Yeah.
There was one day where I ran 17 miles at 5 a.m. And when I got done, for a little while I was fucked. Like, I thought I was going to pass out. Yeah. I drank some more water. I didn't let myself have Gatorade. I just stuck to water and coffee. Those are the only, 0 calories. So I guess there is a certain amount of mileage or a certain amount of exertion where it's difficult. You probably have to modify your training a little bit if you're going to do this, right? To either be closer to the time frame when you eat. Mm-hmm. But I thought it was really good for me. From a discipline perspective, it was really good. From a health perspective, it was good. I felt better. The hard part was stopping myself at night.
Yeah. Like
stopping myself eating at the end of 8 hours. Like, I found myself a couple of days where, I had lunch at noon, I was eating at 7:45, and I was like,
can't eat anymore.
I want a little snack,
And that sucks when you're watching, like, a playoff game or your favorite sitcom or whatever, right? Favorite reality show, and you're just there twiddling your thumbs.
So yeah, very, very interesting experiment on myself. And so after Lent, what I've been doing is, I don't do it every day, but I do it a couple of days, 2 or 3 days a week, and I think it's good for you. I think to exercise that discipline and control over food, especially if you have weight management issues, whether you're an athlete or a regular person, I think even if you're a regular person, we all have weight management issues, right? I think it's a good way to kind of master your own psyche over eating, and it's a way to manage your weight as well. So like for me now, I'm trying to do it 3 days a week, maybe 4 days a week. It's harder on the weekends because I kind of go off the rails, right?
Yeah.
But,
yeah, you want to be able to enjoy the weekend, right?
Right, but during the week I try to do it, and now that I'm starting to pick up my training a little bit, I'm curious to see how it'll do. So that's just my own experience with it. Everyone is different. Before you go and do it every day, you probably should consult somebody, a doctor or something, especially if you've had health issues in the past. I'm particularly healthy, so I didn't feel the need to do that. I thought it would be more of an exercise in will than in health, but I got some real health benefits from it.
Just consult me. I'll tell you to eat some more.
If you want to talk about nutrition, if you want to talk about any other self-experiments you may have done, let's stick to the nutrition world for that. You can reach the show via email, positivesports10@gmail.com, positivesports10@gmail.com. If you want to reach out to me specifically, talk nutrition, talk exercise. I'm more of the running variety than the weightlifting or that type of stuff. But hey, I'll talk about anything nutrition-wise. I think it's real interesting. You can reach out to me on Twitter at eMontana21. If you want to get a hold of this guy, you can reach him at BrooklynGaucho1, or you can email the show at positivesports10.
Just email the show. Just email the show.
positivesports10@gmail.com, positivesports10@gmail.com. So, now that we've got the educational portion of our show done.
Science for the day.
Science for the day. Look at that. We're branching out. We don't just talk
I don't know
sports.
about that.
We're talking nutrition now.
I failed all those courses in school.
You're pretty good about eating. You're pretty careful.
I am. Like I said, I think as I got older, I just not watch what I eat. I mean, I'm able to control myself. That's why I really don't work. I mean, I haven't worked out in a while. I said I was. I didn't go back. I haven't gone back to the gym in a while. But I've been able to control my eating and
therefore your weight.
Portions. Yeah. So, but like, really, I mean, the words everybody, literally body is different. Those words can't be any more truer, because what I do does not work for you, will not work for the next person, will not work for, hundreds of thousands of people. Everybody's different. You just got to find your groove. You got to find
your formula.
Pretty much.
Yeah, I obviously, we've said this before. I'm a runner. I run with a group of friends. And my process 6 to 8 weeks before a race to lose weight is completely different from everybody else's. And they're all like, you're fucking crazy. There's no way I can do that. But it works for me.
Right.
And even the week of the race, like I'll lose, not only will I trickle down starting 8 weeks out, my weight will start to come down. But even that last week, I will do stuff where I lose about 7 or 8 pounds during the week, and I put on 2 the day before the race because I start to load up on salt and carbs and whatnot. And that doesn't work for everybody. Other people, I've told people what I do exactly, even the week of the race.
They probably thought you were crazy.
Well, yeah, they think I'm crazy, and they've tried it, and it doesn't work for them.
Yeah. Well,
now, I will say this. They say they've tried it. I don't know that they've actually followed through with. You know what I mean? Like, I say 0 salt the week of the race. And people are like, well, what the hell do you eat? And I don't eat meat the week of the race. I'm like, fish and vegetables.
Mm-hmm.
When I say fish and vegetables, I mean fish and vegetables for lunch and dinner that I cook myself so that I know it has no salt. And maybe someone else says, yeah, I did the fish and vegetables thing, and it didn't work for me.
Right.
Well, yeah, it's because you went to, Papados and ate crawfish, like
bunch of bread
some
and
crawfish etouffee. It's got a ton
that
of
sounds
salt.
kind of good right about now.
It was really good. Anyway, so
All right, so let's get into the basketball.
The sports part of our show.
That's right. The basketball playoffs. We're down to the Final Four.
Finally.
The Final Four.
I tell you what, and again, I've said this over and over again, the second round was so entertaining. The only series that got boring was the Celtics-Bucks. The Warriors-Rockets was good, especially because you had all the referee controversy, and then the other two series went 7 games, which
and
made it a lot of fun.
The basketball part of the Bucks and Celtics series was not entertaining, but I think all the storylines created, from Kyrie and all that stuff, that made it, an interesting series, if you will. But obviously the basketball part, they lost 4 in a row.
But here's the thing. If that series had been better, I don't think we would have talked about Kyrie.
I think we would have, because that would have been the talk, that would have been the constant talk.
I disagree. I think
every game that would have went on would have been like, well, if they lose this game, that could be it for Kyrie.
I think the media jumps on that because there was nothing else to talk about in that series. Because we didn't talk about it in games 1 and 2. It's only after game 3 when the Bucks beat them in Boston that we're like, the Bucks probably going to win this series. Let's start talking about Kyrie. Hey, let me ask you a question. Do you agree or disagree that you need 2 or more bona fide superstars to win a championship in the NBA?
I disagree.
You disagree?
I disagree.
Now, when you say you disagree, do you disagree because you think it can be done with 1, or you disagree because you think it takes at least 3?
I think it comes down to matchups. I don't care who you got on the other side, 4 All-Stars in 1. I think it comes down to the matchups and how well you match up with the opposite team.
So you don't think it has anything to do with superstars? You think
no?
And where I'm going with this is, I think the Bucks are going to beat the Raptors. And I think the Bucks have a good chance to win the NBA championship because I think they have 2, if not 3, bona fide superstars on their team. And obviously I'm talking about Giannis, but I'm talking about Middleton and Bledsoe as well. Now,
are they superstars?
I think they are. And I think the reason that we don't recognize them as superstars and the reason that we don't talk about them as superstars is because they play in Milwaukee. And they play with the Greek Freak, and the Greek Freak is all of the highlights.
Right.
But Bledsoe, aside from 1 bad game, I think, with the Celtics, has really proved himself in these playoffs, and really throughout the season he's been very good. Middleton, I think, is really good as well. And overall, I think they have the pieces. I think it takes 2 or more. And so that's why I think the Bucks have a chance. On the flip side, the exact reason why the Rockets are never going to win a championship is because as presently constructed, they're relying on 1 superstar. And that's James
Harden. But they
Harden.
have 2.
No, they don't.
Yes, they do.
No.
They have Chris Paul.
No. Michael Jordan today is not a bona fide superstar. He's a 56-year-old man who could not play in the NBA. Chris Paul today is not a bona fide superstar. He was. He's not anymore. I mean, he's just not. And I think that's the problem the Rockets have. The Rockets, it's James Harden or bust. Gordon is not there yet. Capella's not there yet. They don't have a defensive stopper like they had last year with Ariza. That team, as presently constructed, is never going to make it to the finals. I think they overachieve, to be honest with you, because they made it farther than a team like the OKC Thunder, who very obviously have 2 bona fide superstars.
Yeah, but that doesn't... They couldn't get out the first round.
I know, which is why I think the Rockets overachieved. I just don't see... I don't see it for the Rockets. I mean, there's a team that just... and the team that's winning the championships and that's going to win the championship this year, in my opinion, is a team chock full of superstars. Right? In the Warriors.
I mean, yeah, but I mean, look at LeBron James when he went to, going to the finals against
Right, but he only won once when he was by himself.
Yeah.
And LeBron James is also a top 5 basketball player of all time. He's not a top 5 superstar today. He's a top 5 player of all time when he was making those
I don't know
runs.
if I would consider Bledsoe and Middleton superstars. I think they are good complementary pieces to the Greek Freak. I do believe that, well, I'm just going to say it right now. I think the Bucks and the Warriors are going to be playing, in the finals. So when I look at that matchup, I think Bledsoe matches up very well with Steph Curry. I think he has a little bit of that Patrick Beverly in him that could cause, that could be a rhythm breaker for Curry. Because I mean, we've noticed that Curry is all about rhythm, right? He can go 0 points in one half and score 30 in another. So I think overall it's just matchups. It doesn't matter to me that you have 4 superstars and the other one has 1 or whatever the case may be. I think it comes down to matchups and the ability for the coach to play with and adjust to those matchups. Which
I think you need 2 or more. And while Middleton and Bledsoe maybe are not quite superstars, they're like 3/4 of a superstar, so together they're 1.5.
Yeah.
Plus Giannis, that's 2.5 superstars. I think you have to have the superstars in order to create those matchups and to create
what
those
the
advantages.
heck makes you say Bledsoe and Middleton are superstars?
Have you watched them play this year?
I mean, of 1 year, then shit, D'Angelo Russell is a super duper star because he had a great year.
I wouldn't go that.
He had a great year, and
he had a good year.
I mean, he took the team to the playoffs. They pretty much rode him.
Yeah.
That's why I find it hard. I can't say Bledsoe and Middleton are superstars.
Well, to be fair, both of those guys, I think...
I mean, what's a superstar?
Well, let's think about it. Or let's define it.
Like, if Giannis is out, do you think Middleton and Bledsoe would, if Giannis was out for, 20 games, what do you think the Bucks' record would be? I don't know.
Obviously, I don't think they'd be a 60-win team, right? Like they were.
I mean, do you think they'd be 500? I don't know.
I think they'd still be pretty darn good. I think
I think they would be over 500, but I don't know that it would be.
Here's the thing. I think Bledsoe and Middleton are both very good players. They can score the basketball.
Yeah.
They defend well. They do all the little things. Just because we don't see them and we don't see the highlight reel dunks. Look, we're bombarded by Giannis highlights. They call them Bucks highlights, but they're Giannis highlights. That's all they show us. But if I watched the games with the Celtics. Those 2 guys did their job and then some.
Well, yeah.
They were darn good in that series, and they've been good all year long.
Yeah, no, they've been good. I mean, Middleton can shoot the 3. They got a lot of
defensively. They're good.
They have a lot of shooters on their team, so they're I can see how Middleton gets open a little more than normal with all those shooters. But I don't know if I would.
Wouldn't the Rockets love to have some defense like those guys? Because the Rockets play 0 defense.
Yeah, well, I've been telling you that forever, and everyone else. It's good to be right every once in a while.
Yeah, they won 60 games.
Who?
The Bucks.
Well, they won 60 games.
You're like, they did.
No, they had a great season. That's,
I think that's a good team.
I mean, we'll see. We'll see because Kawhi Leonard proved to us that he doesn't need any superstars around him. So, and he can take down 4 superstars. So let's see how...
4 superstars? What 4 superstars did he take down?
Harris, Embiid, Simmons, Butler.
Is not a superstar. Simmons is not a superstar yet.
I bet if you check Harris' stats against Middleton's stats, Harris' stats are better. Remember, he was on the Clippers and he was having a great season on the Clippers with no Giannis. Nobody else on that team. So...
I'm going to disagree. And the series proved it out. Harris didn't do much in the series with the Raptors.
Well, no.
And Ben Simmons didn't do much with the Raptors. The Sixers are pretty much Embiid or bust. Butler had a nice series.
Yeah.
probably could have helped a little bit more. Simmons, I don't know what Simmons is doing. Simmons looks lost out there.
It's an issue when you can't shoot. It just becomes an issue when you can't shoot. I mean, you can't. Teams can afford to leave Ben Simmons wide open
outside of the key.
And I mean, he's not a scoring option.
Yeah,
he's just not. So
who do you like? So we both like the same. We both like the Bucks and the Warriors.
I mean, I think the Bucks are gonna win, but I'm not gonna sit here and say the Bucks are gonna beat them 4-1. I think the Bucks got the luxury of playing Detroit and a dysfunctional team.
The Celtics,
and, yeah. And I think what you're getting now is all eyes are gonna be on Kawhi Leonard. I think it's up to the rest of the Raptors to really show up and play. And I think
Lowry
all the eyes on Kawhi is gonna just open it up a little bit more for the rest of the team.
I do think it's gonna be a good series, but I do see the Bucks winning it. And quite frankly, I'm looking forward to the matchup with the Bucks and the Warriors because I think the Warriors are going to come out of the West, and I think that is going to be a very competitive series, especially. And I'm not wishing for this, but especially if you don't have KD at 100%.
Yeah,
that would be unfortunate. I would like to see him at 100% and see how that series shakes out because I think that would be a very good series.
I think when the Warriors started this little run. The Bucks were the team to beat the Warriors on that. What they start off like 21-0 that one year.
Mm-hmm.
I think they lost at Milwaukee, and since then Milwaukee has like taken a few games from them. So
yeah, I don't recall how the head-to-head matchups have gone, but I think you need two superstars, and the Rockets have to do something. Chris Paul is, I think, past his prime.
So who do you keep, Harden or D'Antoni? Because it doesn't mix. I'm sorry, it just doesn't.
Yeah,
mix.
no, it doesn't. Harden wants to play a certain way, and D'Antoni wants to coach a certain way, and I don't think either one of them is.
The Rockets.
I think Harden is imposing his agenda on D'Antoni's style, and it doesn't work.
Yeah,
he slows the game down way too much.
Yeah, the Rockets just beat themselves this series. I mean, all from the talking from last year, talking about the auditing, the owner even talking today or yesterday about that he's looking forward to kicking their ass in the future. Talking about the Warriors, it's not well put together. Plain and simple. None of this meshes well, and it's really starting to be looking like a barn fire.
It's gotten to the point where it's dysfunctional now.
Yeah.
Because that whole stupid thing with the audit, especially considering the way Game 1 went, was just a catastrophe. It had the players looking for fouls instead of looking for buckets. It had the players looking at referees instead of looking to play defense. And it showed. And the Warriors never really got into that. And it showed. Yeah. The Warriors just kept playing ball. They figured it would even out in the end. And the Rockets are left, running another audit, I guess. They're going to try to figure out, if the referees had called the game evenly, would Steph Curry have had 33 points or 30 points?
Well, I don't know.
Steph Curry was ridiculous in that Game 6.
Yeah, he was.
He was just one after another.
I mean, did you hear did you hear some of the backstory of what happened? When was the game? Friday night?
Mm-hmm.
I think Thursday. Either Thursday night or Friday morning, Steph Curry got permission to have a shoot around at the Toyota Center. Did you hear about this?
No.
Yeah, so he booked it. He booked the Toyota Center to get an extra shoot around. And now I promise you, our good friend of the show, Juan the Kraken Adams, will love this because he is the king of petty wars. Chris Paul went behind him and pretty much axed that plan, and he went and scheduled the Toyota Center for a full, shoot around practice or something like that.
How?
True story.
Hold on a second. if that is not regulated by the NBA, right?
What is?
Scheduling the arena for a shoot around. If that's not regulated by the NBA, someone on the Toyota Center staff needs to get fired.
Well, I don't know if it's regulated or not, but I guess maybe.
Would you fire the Toyota Center person if they went ahead and allowed Mr. Curry to book?
I mean, no, because Chris Paul was petty enough to, intervene.
Only because he got hold. But even if he didn't get a hold of it, right?
Well, where is he supposed to shoot around? At the local park?
I don't care, but he's not shooting around in my venue.
I mean, well, I don't. Well, but he didn't.
Well, only thanks to Chris Paul.
And he 0 points in the first half.
It showed. But here's the thing, right? Like, if the NBA says you must make the arena available for 2 hours the day before the game, for at least 2 hours the day before the game for a shoot around, and the home team gets to decide when they want their 2 hours, and then the rest of the time the visiting team can schedule. If that's all the NBA allows, then that's all the NBA allows. Whoever at the Toyota Center that allowed Steph Curry to book an additional hour, let's say.
Well, maybe he booked it under a different name. Clint Capella.
Hi, this is this is Trevor Ariza.
Yeah.
I'm coming back to Houston. I'd like to shoot around in the old stomping ground.
Oh, sure, yeah, come on through.
Can you imagine if Steph Curry didn't want to use his name and can I have your name, sir? And he fucked up and he panicked. Draymond Green. Sorry, I'm not going to be able to do that. Damn it, I'm going to have to call back.
Maybe he says Seth Curry.
Did you say Steph Curry? No, Seth.
Well,
yeah, look.
I don't know if that...
You got to fire the guy at the Toyota Center that let that happen.
Well, he gets a pass now. I think Chris Paul saved his job.
Okay.
And, you let him live another season.
Maybe. Until next year's Western Conference Finals when they play again. Yeah. And screws it up again.
I don't know how that works, to be honest with you.
I don't know how it works either, but I would guess that the NBA has some rules in place as to how much time you have to let the other team practice at your facility. Because you see the teams...
Well, Chris Paul didn't let them practice anything.
Because he got wind of an additional time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, could be, yeah.
I don't know,
but I thought it was funny.
I found Chris Paul thoroughly annoying throughout the series.
He really
However, I think he just redeemed himself a little bit in my book. Because I would have done the same thing. Cancel that shit.
Yeah, but do you think okay, bullshit. You think if it was Michael Jordan, you think Michael Jordan would do that?
Do what? If he was Chris Paul?
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, Michael Jordan.
No, he wouldn't. You know what Michael Jordan would do? Michael Jordan would say, hey, man, he would call up his agent, okay, and say, hey, man, get Chris Paul's agent on the phone. Tell him let's settle one-on-one, 1st to 11.
Oh, wait, no. Hold on a second. I'm confused. If Michael Jordan was Chris Paul in this situation?
Yeah, and he would go...
And someone from the Knicks had booked the United Center?
Yeah.
For an addition...
I think Jordan would want to play them one-on-one for the freaking court.
That Michael Jordan might do that, but Michael Jordan might also call the United Center and go, cancel that, and you're fired.
Yeah, he probably would do
Michael
that.
Jordan, but Mr. Jordan, you're not the boss. Yeah, you're fired. I'm gonna call the roly-poly fat man that owns the Bulls, and you're gonna be fired. Yeah, absolutely. Michael Jordan wouldn't have let that happen.
No, I think he would have played him. He would have played him one-on-one.
Yeah. He would have canceled it.
In a game of horse.
He would have canceled it, and then he would have called Steph Curry and say, if you want that court, meet me at Rucker Park, and let's ball for it.
Definitely.
I bet you that would happen.
Yeah. Chris Paul wins Petty Player of the Year.
Yeah, he was... he was not good. He was thoroughly annoying in the series.
Yeah.
He did not have a good series. Game 7, he was okay. The other thing that was very annoying in this series is, and I don't know if it's just because I've watched a lot more basketball in the last month, but these guys rolling around on the floor and holding their... I thought I was watching Neymar during the Toronto-Philadelphia series.
It was pretty bad.
It's amazing how many times they were holding their face.
Yeah.
Embiid got hit on the top of the head. Went down.
Well, more like his fro.
Yeah, I mean, he barely got hit. He went down to the ground, arms flailing around, and then grabbed his face. And it's always around the eyes. No one ever gets... I'm telling you, pretty soon, it's going to be like WWE. Guys are going to take little razor blades, and they're going to cut themselves and start bleeding.
You think they're going to have razors in their shorts, and then they're going to pull it out? Kind of like Ric Flair used to do back in the day?
Or however it is the wrestlers used to do it. That's what they're going to do. Or a packet of ketchup or some shit to get a flagrant 2 called on somebody. It's ridiculous.
It's looking like it's trending that way.
The NBA should do something about it. Look, in soccer, they've done it forever, right? But part of the reason they do it in soccer is because, A, it's really hard to score, and B, the penalty can be quite severe, right? If you get caught twice kicking somebody, that's a red card. Now they're playing down a man, right? They don't get to substitute that guy. But in the NBA, where all you're doing is getting one more foul, and they get 6. I mean, it is just exhausting to see all of these. And the referees, every time one of these players holds their face, the referees have to go over to the sideline and watch the replay to see, did he get hit in the face?
I mean, I'm sure it's something that they can review. I mean, they reviewed Rockets flopping in the middle of a playoff series and adjusted because after game 1, I didn't see the Rockets complain or flop anymore from games 2 through 6.
Isn't that something?
So
isn't that something how that works?
So I'm pretty sure the NBA can review these things, and
it's ridiculous. So it's absolute. There was one play yesterday where 3 guys were holding their face. And 2 of them didn't even get touched. There were arms flying around near them, but they didn't get touched. And 1 got it across the face.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's just... LeBron started that stuff where every foul was like, oh, my eye. Oh, my eye. And the funny thing is, if you rub your eye long enough, whether you got poked or not, it's going to turn red. It's going to look like you got poked in the eye.
Like Harden?
Yeah, well, maybe not quite like Harden. Harden punched himself in the eye.
Shit.
This is like that Chinese arm wrestling.
I didn't see.
You don't know about Chinese arm wrestling?
No.
Yeah, hold your arm like this.
No, I'm not punching myself.
Well, that's the whole thing, right? You hold your arm like this.
Yeah.
Or pull. If you pull it up to your face, you wouldn't let go. That's what Harden did to his eye.
I don't know what he did to his eye. Somebody did something to his eye.
That's about the only way you get that kind of... Well, his would have turned into a black eye.
Yeah.
I mean, that was awful. He looked terrible for days.
Yeah, he did. I mean, still through Game 6, he probably still looks the same.
And now we know that it is more important to have good hands than it is to have good eyes, because Harden kept scoring and Curry had an off night.
That's right.
After that. And Curry jammed up he dislocated.
That should be interesting, because even in Game 6, he looked like it was bothering him a bit. So
that wasn't the problem. It was the lack of shoot around.
Well, could have been, but it could be something to
Yeah, no. I mean, dislocated finger.
No.
That's gotta hurt.
Shooting?
Yeah.
Oh.
No.
Is it shooting? I don't know.
No, it's his other hand. It's his guide hand.
Oh well.
Who needs a guide?
He does.
You're Steph Curry. You're a professional, dude.
That's right. All right.
What else you got?
That's all I got. I got nothing else.
That's all you got?
That's all I got. I'm hungry.
All right, we'll cut it short so you can go eat. And I
hope she's got something ready for me.
Oh, if you're this hungry, I'm thinking you gotta stop somewhere along the way and get some
I'm gonna
Funyuns or something.
No, because it never works out. It never works out. I find it that when I am extremely hungry, whatever I stop for is not satisfying at all. So I'll just go home and...
Even Popeyes?
It's not satisfying.
Popeyes is always satisfying.
Because you're so hungry, you're thinking about all the different things you can eat, and you're driving and you're looking at, McDonald's, Burger, whatever you see. You see all these different places, all these different kinds of food, tacos, burgers.
Yeah, but you don't know if anything's available at home or ready at home.
But I'm sure that
You're sure there's bread and cold cuts so you can make a sandwich?
No, but once... probably there is. But I know that once I get home, I got no choice. If I walk into McDonald's and there's a long line or the drive-thru, I got a choice. I can get out of there and go somewhere else. Right. So.
Sounds good. Sounds good. You got a shout out?
No shout out.
No.
I got no shout out.
No shout out?
I think I had one, but I don't have one.
My shout out goes to Jessica Andrade. Jessica Andrade on Saturday night won the women's strawweight title in the UFC with a victory over Rose Namajunas.
Oh, was that the chick that got bounced on her head?
Rose Namajunas was the one that got bounced on the head. Jessica Andrade was getting bounced in the face for a round and a half. Rose Namajunas was piecing her up, clearly winning the fight, well in control. Jessica Andrade finally got her hands on her, tried to drag her to the ground. That didn't work, so she went the other way. She picked her up and went to slam her. And the way Rose fell, it looked like her head was going to pop right off of her neck. And she was basically knocked out. And so Jessica Andrade pulled out the win. But, I mean, it was just an amazing display of strength. And it was a little scary. And so my shout out goes to her.
Now, isn't that movie legal? Because I thought I saw somewhere where they posted the rules. And...
So technically, you're not allowed to pile drive someone, right? To spike someone on their head.
That looked like a pile driver and a spike.
However, the caveat there is if you're trying to work out of a submission hold, you're basically allowed to throw them out of the cage if you want to. Which I don't know why no one's ever tried that. Anywho, and Rose, part of what got Rose screwed up in that move was she had an arm lock and she didn't let it go. If she'd have let the arm lock go, she'd have swung past the ground and landed on her back. Mm-hmm. But because she held on to it, she came down on her neck and head. I mean, it looked nasty.
Oh, yeah.
It looked like...
I mean, it looked like she could be hurt for life.
Yeah, it looked like her head... It looked like her neck grew about 4 inches.
Yikes.
I mean, it was scary. But it was quite the shot. And, that's the fight game. Yeah. And, I mean, Jessica took a beating in that first round. I mean, she was just... Rose was sticking and moving. Jessica was swinging at air. I mean, she did not look good. But, she's a fighter. She's a fighter through and through. This chick's no joke. And she just kept chasing her and finally got her hands on her. And the slam is kind of a bit lucky. But look, at the very least, she was going to get her on the ground and she was going to be on top of her. Who knows what would have happened at that point, right? Even if she had landed on her back, she was finally going to get in a good position where maybe she could do some damage. So, hats off to her. She did a heck of a job. Being persistent and trying to get in there and do what she had to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, she won the title, right?
She is now the strawweight champion. Strawweights are very interesting in the UFC. Women's strawweights.
Well, that's why they can pile drive them like that. They don't weigh anything.
Still, you know how much force you can generate?
Weigh as much as a straw does.
You can generate a lot of force. Episode 74. Any famous 74s?
No.
Bob Lilly.
74.
Bob Lilly, who's a Hall of Famer,
I have no idea who that is.
He was a defensive lineman for the Cowboys in the 60s, I think. I don't know how I know that, but because I wasn't around in the 60s, but...
Yeah, no famous 74.
74. 237s?
230. I don't even know 137.
Do you know 237s? That might make it 74. Do you know 148 that we can cut in half?
No. Not quite.
Anyway, so that's that. Another episode of the Positive Sports Podcast done and dusted. Very interesting today. We talked nutrition, we talked basketball, we talked pile drivers. It's a very interesting day.
I need a screwdriver now.
And your stomach made it without interrupting the show too much.
I didn't pass out. I'm a little pale, but I didn't pass out.
Thank goodness. As always, folks, if you want to reach out to the show, you can email us at positivesports10@gmail.com. Positivesports10@gmail.com. If you want to get a hold of this guy, you can do so on Twitter at BrooklynGaucho1. And if you want to get a hold of me, you can reach me at eMontana21 on Twitter as well.
That's
Another episode in the books. As always, folks, ignore the negativity. Be the positivity.
Peace.